expected. Let's dig in. First off, yes, this really is the new 10.5-inch model. It's just a hair taller and wider than the Pro it replaces, and the only way to really tell the difference between the two is to look at the bezels around the screens. The Pro 10.5 barely has any, at least by iPad standards. Other than that, all the usual iPad Pro niceties are here. There are 4 speakers for crisp, loud audio playback, an improved Touch ID sensor in the home button, and a smart connector port on the left edge for adding peripherals like the bigger, better smart keyboard. If you've used an iPad ever, basically, you'll feel right at home. Thankfully, Apple has upped the ante on memory too. The base Pro model comes with 64 gigabytes of storage, and the one I'm testing here has a whopping 512 gigabytes. That's as much as the laptop I just bought. The idea still seems weird, but Apple is serious about the iPad Pro being a full replacement machine for some people, and this is a very clear sign of that. We really need to dedicate some time to the screen though. Forgive me for the lousy pun, but this display is where the new iPad really shines. I'm not just saying that because it's brighter than any other iPad screen either. There are a couple other things to consider. For one, this is what Apple calls a Pro Motion display. That means the screen refreshes 120 times a second when things are moving instead of the usual 60. As a result, scrolling and animations are noticeably, almost startlingly smooth. Once you notice, you'll never be able to unsee it. Pro Motion just makes everything feel so fluid. This also helps out when you're using the Apple Pencil too. The faster refresh makes for lower latency when you're sketching or taking notes. The wide color gamut is also here, and it makes for some incredibly bright, poppy visuals. As much as I like the previous generation Pro, its screen just looks a little drab by comparison. Throw in an anti-reflective coating and automatic color temperature tuning when you change rooms, and I feel comfortable calling this the best iPad screen ever. For about a week, and it's handled everything I've thrown at it with ease, from split-screen multitasking to visually elaborate games. Naturally, it also trumps every other iOS device we tested in our suite of benchmarks. Not once did this Pro break a sweat, although iOS devices are notorious for slowing down over time. I'm actually hopeful this iPad fares better in the long term though. With any luck, the sheer horsepower on display and the high-speed Pro Motion screen will keep everything feeling fast and fluid. This Pro ships with iOS 10.3, which definitely isn't bad. It's just that iOS 10 in general hasn't done a whole lot for Apple's tablets. Frankly, I think iPads are in desperate need of the interface changes found in the forthcoming iOS 11 update. Tim Cook has said in the past that the iPad is the clearest expression of Apple's vision of the future of personal computing. Honestly, even with the launch of the iPad Pros, those just seem like really nice words. With the eventual launch of iOS 11 though, iPads will finally start acting a little more like the flexible, standalone machines Apple wants them to be. In other words, this iPad's best days are yet to come. Around the back, which Apple basically just pulled to get the same 10-hour battery life out of this new Pro. We found that's generally pretty close. While looping a movie with screen brightness set to half, the Pro 10.5 stuck around for about 9 hours and 40 minutes. That's a little better than the 9.7-inch Pro did last year, which only makes sense since this iPad has a slightly bigger battery. By now, you've probably guessed what's going on here. The iPad Pro 10.5 is one of the best tablets money can buy, but it still won't replace your laptop. Not yet, anyway. What Apple did was build an incredibly robust device that already works really, really well, and once iOS 11 rolls around, it'll get even better.